Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. And so in this video, I'm going to be discussing another horror film. Well, not straight out horror film, but it is a scary movie. And it's getting plenty of movie audiences at the time and for a couple of years after that. And that's the 1987 film, Fatal Attraction. Of course, this was Michael Douglas, Glenn Close, Stuart Pankin, who, if you grew up in the 80s, know Stuart Pankin from the HBO series Not Necessarily the News. And of course also Fred Gwynne from the Munsters appears in one scene with Michael Douglas in this film, as well as Anne Archer. I believe I mentioned Anne Archer already. For those who don't know the premise of this film, where you been? The premise of Fatal Attraction is that Michael Douglas stars as a lawyer who Will Ferrell is married to Anne Archer, and they have a young daughter. I don't remember the name of the actress who played the young daughter, but she was quite good in the film. And what happened was that Michael Douglas meets Glenn Close first at a work party, and then eventually he finds out later on that she works as a clerk at the Random House. And of course they carry on an affair over one particular weekend. And of course when he decides to break it off with her, she of course goes nuts. And of course all chaos ensues after that. And well, of course this scene of course really made, even though Glenn Close was in a few movies throughout the 80s, or the early 80s, starting with of course The Big Chill, she was in The Natural. She was in, of course, a movie before that called The Jagged Edge, which she does play a lawyer. But of course, this movie actually really made her career. And she got typecast as the woman that everybody's afraid of. Of course, this film does have some graphic sex scenes in it. You know, early on, when Michael Douglas does have an affair with Glenn Close, and how they, of course, they had some flirtation stuff going on early on. Of course, when he carries on the affair, all chaos happens because she didn't want to be, the typical woman who gets banged around a couple of times or has sex a couple of times, and then nowadays we would call it a booty call, but that term wasn't used back then in '87. And of course, So when Michael Douglas says, "Bring look, I got a wife and a kid," and said, "If we're single, I'll be with you all the time, but unfortunately, I'm not. I'm tied down with my wife and my kid." So she didn't care, and of course, she does all kinds of crazy things to drive Michael Douglas nuts. Of course, first of all, naturally, of course, starts with the crazy phone calls and hanging up. Then she appears in Michael Douglas's office, drives him nuts, and of course she shows up at the apartment. And then, of course, when the family, or Michael Douglas's family, they decide to move to, I think, like Westchester County or something, she follows him. And she destroys his car, and of course he buys his daughter a rabbit. Of course, this is one of the more famous scenes in the film, when they come home from somewhere and they come to the house. The wife goes in the kitchen. All of a sudden, there's this mysterious boiling pot full of boiling water. The steam is coming out of it, so it's been on the oven for some time. And the daughter goes up to check on the rabbit and notices the rabbit's not there because the rabbit is in the pot. And of course, that's a scene that a lot of people freaked out about, and this woman kills the rabbit. And of course, what happens is that Michael Douglas does speak to a local police lieutenant and complains, "Hey, this woman is stalking me. She's stalking my family. She just killed my daughter's rabbit." And they have to catch her in the act, and they have her, and the cops notify New York City and says, hey, we've got this crazy woman stalking his family. And of course, he had the famous scene where Glenn Close takes the daughter to an amusement park after school, which is so totally creepy. They know that this woman is losing her mind. And of course, before then, of course, Glenn Close tells Michael Douglas that, hey, I'm pregnant. First, that people from the viewers think that she's faking it just to keep Michael Douglas. She found that it wasn't fake. And of course, what happens, of course, eventually, Glenn Close, after when the daughter gets kidnapped and returns to the house, the mother gets into an accident. Well, Anne Archer's gets into an accident, and that's when he had the famous fight scene in Glenn Close's apartment when Glenn Close comes out at him with a knife. Well, this is where the movie changes. Because what happens is, of course, the ending that we all know is that Glenn Close gets shot by Anne Archer at the end of the film. Well, this is why I mentioned in my other video, it said that was not the original ending of Fatal Attraction. The original ending, and my father saw the original ending in the movie, so I don't know how he got to see the original ending. But the original ending was after the famous fight scene in Glenn Close's apartment when Michael Douglas comes out after him. There's a station around the apartment, and they will both back each other around. And then when Glenn Close gets up and starts chasing him with the knife, with a big butcher knife, he grabs it out of her hand and he puts it gently down on the counter, and then he just walks out. Now, what Glenn Close does is she uses that knife and she kills herself with the knife. And of course, when the cops ended up finding her body in her apartment, they checked the knife and they found out that Michael Douglas's fingerprints were all over the knife. So they believe, because of the problems between the two characters, they thought that Michael Douglas was killed Glenn Close. Well, the police found out that the wounds were self-inflicted and that she did commit suicide. And the police lieutenant that Michael Douglas talks to says, hey, I know I'm the problem between these two, and then this woman is only possibly homicidal, but she's also a lunatic. And because the evidence was found that she did eventually kill herself, and that's how Michael Douglas gets off, and he walks into the house with his family, and that's how the original ending was. The ending, of course, we all know in the movie, like I said earlier, the Glenn Close's character dies at the end of the film for being shot by Anne Archer's character. But as the movie itself, it does build up the tension pretty well, and it was directed by Adrian Lyne. Now, Adrian Lyne, well, the funny thing is that Adrian Lyne has knowing that he directed one of my favorite comedies, My Cousin Vinny, that I previously reviewed. But he also has a habit of reviewing like 3 particular films. That's kind of like a trilogy in sex and perverted films. What I mean by that is that he directed 3 films that's kind of like little seedy people in it. The first one was 9.5 Weeks with Kim Basinger and Mickey Rourke. The second one came out like a year or 2 years later, was Fatal Attraction, and then of course about 10 years later you had Unfaithful with Richard Gere and Diane Lane. And this is like the second one, and I think it's the most famous one of the 3 because it had a huge impact in the movie theaters. And now, for a long time, married men were very hesitant to have an affair on their wives because they were afraid they would meet a Glenn Close type character. That's what they were afraid of. That they would meet somebody like Glenn Close. But naturally, of course, I died down for a couple of years, and then because of the movie was out, and then of course it's airing on television, whether it be on cable or on regular TV. And then of course you had you know, the bit that came out, like I mentioned earlier, with the original ending came out on DVD. There was a DVD version. I don't know if it's still out on the market yet. I have no idea, with the original ending in the film. So that's my I know I'm doing a short review, but this is my review on Frame Attraction. But I still like the film. It still holds up, even though people can argue that it's dated. The reason why for that argument is because of the fact there's no computers. Well, there are computers in the offices, but when we were computers, there's no internet, there's no email, there's no Facebook, there's no YouTube. There's like almost 10 years before the internet was even available, or people started using the internet, or when the internet was allegedly created by Al Gore. It wasn't in existence then. So if there was the internet in the time of Frame Attraction, I'm sure that all that stuff would be born in with email going the inbox, or Michael Douglas's inbox with emails, with threatening emails, and all that type of thing. Unfortunately, it didn't exist back then in 1987 when this film came out. But even though with that, still, Info of the Frame Attraction still holds up today, and it's still at times scary as all hell. So that's my review of Frame Attraction. Please, rate the film. Please click on. Please subscribe to my channel. And please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. And please, and beg you to check out my other videos. Some of my videos have been up for over a year, or almost a year in some cases, and still don't have 5 views or so. So please check out my other videos if you have time. And thank you for watching, and catch you next time.